What is shaking, homies? How are y'all out there? How's everybody? How's your week going? It is a middle of the week and time does fly, doesn't it? Boy, howdy. We are definitely living in some crazy times. We're living in a wild, a wild world, and there's all sorts of prophetic things that are potentially happening all around us all the time. It's just really wild to see the events that are unfolding before our eyes as those of us who have studied scriptures and see things and often have to wonder how close we are to the end. And it's one of these things that as people who rejoice in the ways of our Creator, these are very amazing times. And as a child of the Most High, and reading scriptures and seeing all of our forefathers and foremothers and the patriarchs that we have and all the prophets who got sawed in half, who got killed, and people got filleted, and people just died in very horrific, very horrible ways. It's something that I don't fear. I don't want to go through it, but I don't fear it because it's a progressive step to the next place, to wherever it is. And there can be no greater honor than dying for the kingdom of our Creator in whatever condition it is. And right now, there is a way forward for a set of people who are not a lot of people. According to the scriptures, there's just not a lot of people who clearly make the cut. And so as we look into scriptures, as we read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, as we try to write those particular words on our heart, mind, and soul so that we can be protected in all avenues of our life, that's the foundational basis. And then we have to come to the understanding and acceptance of the realm beyond our realm, where we have a very much qualified, very much dignified, very much educated leader who will be leading us. And I cannot wait for the days of our Messiah to return. The words of Matthew 7 are very much haunting when Messiah talks about all of these people that call him by name, that have cast out demons in his name and have done all these crazy miracles in his name. But yet he looks at them, and these people obviously clearly know him, and he says, "Depart from me because you work lawlessness." You don't know what the Torah is. You don't have the governing laws of good counsel in your heart, mind, and soul, and in your lives. And this is what sets apart the people of our Creator and who want to be his people, and the people who end up becoming the children of Hasatan. And so we've been given good instructions. The most beautiful things that we can ever see in our lives right now are right before our eyes. And if we will partake in them and we will read them and go into our lives with them, this is what Torah walking is all about. And so according to Revelation 14:12, the two qualifications of those who are saved are the ones who are keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of our Creator, those who are obedient, and those who have the faith of our Messiah. And to understand that all throughout prophecy, the entire prophecy was that our Messiah was coming, and our Messiah would be the Savior of all humanity. And so to inherit the Savior of all humanity, the qualifications are that you would need to be qualified to be saved. And if we are those people that nail the laws of our Creator on the cross, eat unclean food, laugh in the face of anybody who's keeping the commandments, that's a death sentence. And it's a very, very sad way to spend eternity, because it's not a simple mistake, but it's definitely a mistake that a lot of people could have avoided. And when you start seeking Torah, when you start seeking a cleaner heart and a cleaner way forward, you get laughed at a lot. There's just a lot of people that will scoff, and that's okay, right? That is okay, because Messiah says they persecuted me, expect it. And so, guys, the Torah is for all days, it's for all generations, it's for all people, it's for everybody. And it's something very, very exciting. And contrary to what the Christians would have of some kind of old, boring, old man stuff, right? That's the brainwashing that they use to discourage people to actually seek the truth. And the truth is that our Creator has said, for all generations, I want you to keep and abide by my precedent laws, by my ways forward, by my good instructions, by the ways that will qualify you as an individual of a citizen of the kingdom to come. That's what I want you to do. And that's what Scripture says. And so when we understand this and we're willing to walk with our Creator and walk in His ways, life becomes great. Even to the point of being sawed in half, because we know that there's a kingdom to come. We know there's a way forward. And we know that we're all going to have to face death, whether we just simply breathe our last breath and we die and go to wherever we go, or whether or not there's some sort of a way that, we're led there. So there's no better time to read these scriptures than right now. It's a really amazing time in life. Guys, Yah Scriptures, the prison outreach that we're able to do right now is simply amazing. And it is something that is, for those who haven't seen Behind the Bars is another channel that we have. I'm just going to put that as in the description below. But there's a lot of stuff on Behind the Bars that you guys will never ever see anywhere else. And because of all the time that I've spent with these brothers and sisters in chains, before I ever had a podcast, I simply just asked these guys, hey man, do you guys want to do a podcast with me? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And all of these people that are on these podcasts all have this big blue book that is sitting before you. This is my main objective, is to undo the programming of everything that we see and try to get men and women of all calibers of life and all parts of life and all institutions to seek after a better way forward. And I've never seen any kind of sin other than blaspheming against the Ruach HaKodesh that is truly like damnable. Like King David was killing people off all the time. He literally ran a ruse and got a dude killed. And still he was qualified to make the line of our Messiah. And so I'm not saying murder is good or anything of the sort, but obviously the relationship that we have and there's more to it. So guys, all of these men and women that are in these jail cells and have the opportunity to get these scriptures are simply because those of you guys out there are able to grab them. And so for every scriptures you guys are able to get, we're able to pop these into guys who really have no hope. There's guys the guys that we're ministering to, that we're sending all these scriptures to in death row, and that doesn't include all the other places. I'm just talking about death row. Is these guys have no place to ever go. They're in solitary confinement for the rest of their lives. Some of them have been in solitary confinement since a long time, some 30 years. There's a couple guys I talked to that are really, really old, that have just been there forever. Some guys not so much, and some guys get executed quick, some guys don't. But what we've been able to do is establish a very strong connection to all of these guys in there. And the stories coming into Behind the Bars and why I would recommend it to everybody, except for the ones that are rated R. Guys, there's still some stuff that comes out of this that is extremely unkodesh. And a lot of times I cringe at it. I label it what it is. But it is their stories, and all of these crazy stories that you hear on Behind the Bars, you will hear later of men and women who have found faith, who have changed these crazy wicked lives that they led as youth. And the thing that really stands out in the majority of these stories is drugs. It is something that is nearly everybody I talk to. There's only there's only two dudes I know of a lot of dudes that I talk to where drugs have not had anything to do with where they are at. And a lot of guys, like the guys on death row, got an interview we just did on Behind the Bars with Charles Victor Thompson. It's going to be a 5-part series. We got part 1 out right now, and it's a crazy story because at 12 he was smoking marijuana. By the time he was 16, the cops wanted him for like 7 felonies, and they had a 25 to life charge against him at 16 years old. And so you will see that lifestyle and his life on the run and running and gunning all the way to where he is right now, awaiting them to come and inject him with a lethal concoction of drugs. I think stuff like potassium chloride and some other stuff that'll stop the heart. But it's a not a good way to live. And so the fishing extravaganzas are good, but we're also talking about dudes who have been on death row forever. Charles Victor Thompson for 27 years. He's 55 years right now. He's going over his halfway point very, very soon. But these guys have heard it all, right? They've had all the Salvation Armies. They've had all the Christians. They've had everybody that comes and stumbles across them and says, hey, this is the way forward. And the thing is, out of 25 years, the message that I am delivering to them is different than anything they've ever heard before. They've heard every single religion that is out there come and solicit to them the way forward of the way that it is. But nobody's ever come and said, hey, all the scriptures are very important. They are all applying to our lives. They are what we will be judged by and is what we can live by now, even in the isolation, segregation of death row. We can still become Torah keepers. And so the way forward is 100% with the ways of our Creator. And, even if redemption wasn't possible by the actions that we have done, still keeping the Torah is a very, very smart thing. It's what smart people do. When you read the Torah, when you look at the Torah, when you understand what the Torah is, it's just good instructions. Don't eat dead animals. Don't eat a corpse. Don't eat pig. Don't eat lobster, shellfish, rabbits. Don't eat these things. There's something about them that they're not good for you, right? Have a chicken, have a cow, all of these things, but it's laid out, right? And so when you say that good instruction is bad instruction, then by default you damn yourself, because you will live an uneducated life, which is why smart people keep the Torah. All right, guys, let's get into this real quick, and let's talk about this. This is our Messiah in action. Messiah, Yahushua, our King of Kings, our Lord of Lords, the one who came and walked the Torah perfectly and said to us that you guys should walk it as well. And he said he comes in the name of his Father, which is not the Father. He says he comes in not by his own volition. He says he does not come with his own commandments. He comes with the commandments of his Father. And it is the same message, he says, that Moshe had, that the prophets had, that everybody had. It's all still the same. If you want to be a child of the Most High, follow the commands. And then we would by default be following our Messiah, because our Messiah is simply heralding the commandments of his Father as well as the kingdom to come. Now, we're going to go back one verse for those who are actually watching this with us. And thank you very much to everybody out there. Big hugs, much love. I really appreciate it as I get educated myself in all of this. I'm going back one verse because this next little section deals with all of this. So let's begin with Messiah Yahushua. And Yahushua said, "It is sad that so many desire to become Talmidim without weighing the cost of works of the Talmidim. To follow me as a Talmud, a disciple, means renouncing all home comforts, and this is not something to be lightly undertaken." Okay? And this was our Messiah at the core breaking his army out, basically finding the people who will be qualified to be his guy. And if your heart and desires are at the home, if your work load is at the home, if all the stuff is at the home, and by you becoming a disciple of our Messiah, you leave your wife and 8 kids and they starve to death or some horrible thing happens because you just go out there, this isn't what it is. So you have to be able to renounce all home comforts and be at a point where you are able in life to be a disciple, to where the actions of being a disciple don't affect, say, your 80-year-old grandpa who depends upon you to feed him, and you just take off and nobody feeds grandpa. Okay, so continuing on, Messiah says this: "Many have responsibilities which cannot be cast onto the shoulders of others. right? 80-year-old grandpa. So to those who follow me as a disciple, talmidim, burden is added to burden. Apart from privations and discomforts, talmidim are subject to the mockery and scorn of men, and unforeseeable suffering may be in store for them. Okay? This is the same when we follow our Messiah, when we follow the Torah. At some point in life, we may be called upon to defend our lives at the expense of the Torah, right? And it is what it is, right? Never denounce the Torah, never denounce our Creator, never denounce His Son. It is the way forward. These guys are scary and really tough in world terms. But our Creator is beyond world terms. He lives at a different frequency, and the harmonics of His abilities of simple taking your breath away is exactly what we don't want to be against, right? And so it's better to be on the side of the Creator of the universe and His Son, and understand that we're gonna be mocked. And if you guys aren't being mocked, then you're probably not digging deep enough in your walk to get to the point where you're putting yourself out on the edge, right? Sometimes, and I always say it about the homeless people because I know the U.S. has a huge homeless problem, and there's always people camped out across streets and all sorts of places to find the broken, the soup shops, the all these different places where the broken hang out. There's always opportunities to hang with people and to expand yourself and to talk to people and show a little bit of love. And the world of love is an incredible entry into people's lives, right? The bag of burgers that you get from whatever fast food joint you can do, the cheapest things you can find, a big bag of them, go sit with these people in a soup kitchen, right? Give them each a burger and sit and break some bread with them. Amazing what will happen. Okay, continuing on. Those who follow me, taking up my cause, but not as talmidim, double the burden of their stake. That's hard to understand. Those who follow me, taking up my cause, but not as disciples, double the burden of their stake. So I think that's a lot of us. I think we are, direct disciples, as in the days of these guys. I mean, what Messiah was doing was he was setting up the entire messaging system, right? He was the instant messaging server. And so he was getting all of his little people to go out there and start pinging the people. And it's regardless, we need to understand there's going to be discomfort in keeping this, but we always need to keep the faith. That's what this is all about. We got to make it to the very end, whatever the end is, and we got to be faithful and loyal to our Creator and the kingdom. Starting at 27. If you wish to erect a house, and again, this is talking about disciples, right? And this is why this story is important. If you wish to erect a house, it would be very short-sighted to commence the building without working out the cost and being sure this could be met. If the cost and money available are not first calculated, the foundations may be laid, but it will be impossible to complete the job. Then you will become the laughingstock of the town, and people will say, "The fool started something he could not finish." Okay? A lot of things, right? A lot of things to be said. We've heard this exact part of the story before, where you got to be wise when you're building your stuff, because if not, then you have a house half built, and you just, like according to Messiah here, you kind of look like an idiot. And so to get our job of discipleship done right, it needs to be in the proper manner. It needs to be everything. You need to calculate the cost all the way to the bitter end. And a lot of these guys back in the day, they gave up everything, right? Remember, all the disciples is like, "Come with me, I will make you fishers of men." They gave up their trade. They gave up the way they made money. They dropped everything that they had, and it was literally hang with our Messiah and figure out how to all probably live off the land a bit. And things were probably a little sparse. Wherever you go, hopefully people would break bread with you and things of that nature. But it was absolutely giving up everything. And, the crazy thing is you have all these Christians and all of these missionaries. You have all of this huge amounts of United States money, and we're always shipping missionaries money. And all these missionaries are going worldwide, and they're teaching the same satanic doctrine, which is like, oh, the laws are gone. Jesus is put all the sins on the cross. Enjoy your pig. Nobody teaches anybody good instructions, right? And so we've wasted all this money teaching people about a Messiah who clearly taught the Torah, who clearly said the Torah was in effect, and when you read the book of the Nazarene, Messiah would ask people like, hey, do you have a problem if I do this on the Shabbat? Because he knows human beings, us as humans, there's probably some of us who would have an issue healing a lame person on a Shabbat. So continuing on, Messiah says this. What would be your opinion of a sovereign who, with an army of 1,000 men, marched against another with 10,000 without carefully weighing his chances? Would he not do better to remain where he was and sue for peace? So I say to those who would become Talmudim, weigh the matter in your hearts. Then if still of the same mind, give up all you hold dear and follow me. But do not come if in so doing you cast aside responsibilities and obligations. For if you do so in relation to others, you will be no less inclined to do likewise with me when the road becomes difficult. Wow, that's amazing stuff, right? Messiah is like, make sure if you're going to come and disciple with me, that you're going to hang out with my dudes, that we pair up and we go speak the Torah gospel truth and the reign of Elohim. You got to be ready to rock and roll. And if you're sitting there taking care of dad, grandpa, and you decide to split on him and something happens, right? You've given up on grandpa. If you're giving up on grandpa, then you're going to give up on our Messiah. When the going gets tough, a lot of people get going. And so Messiah gives us a lot of great understanding of this. Continuing on, 30. Among the crowd were many self-righteous people and hypocrites, self-deceivers, who, interpreting the Torah to suit their convenience, saw no wrong in themselves, who, setting themselves up as judges, were like blind men trying to sort black pebbles from white, and had no more success. They said to Yahushua, you choose the wrong types. If you chose differently, we would follow. But sand does not mix with honey. Okay, so here you are, some self-righteous people, again, basically setting themselves up for a beating. Messiah Yahushua is such a savage when it comes to Torah and comes to the understanding of what his dad wants for us and how this kingdom is supposed to operate. So you had these people, and they're like sitting there from the outside judging. It's like everybody sits from the outside. Everybody will judge you. Everybody is a keyboard commando, especially on YouTube. YouTube is really bad. It has always been bad. We always attract the angry Christians, but lately the angry Christians really don't say a ton. But we had our times with the angry Christians. But these guys were like mixing honey with sand, right? That's terrible, right? How are you going to eat that, right? It's unusable. How's that going to work? Messiah says, Yahushua said, let me tell you a parable. And here comes the beating. And some of these guys, that's the thing, is with his parables, it's like these people are just like, they're like, I know I just got beat. What do I take away from this? How do I deal with this? Let me tell you a parable. 2 men went into the Haykel temple to pray, one being a self-righteous man and deceiver, the other man aware of his failings and shortcomings. The self-righteous man prayed in this manner, I praise my Elohim for many blessings, giving thanks that I am not like the majority of men, of avaricious, deceitful, dishonest, and adulterous. I fast twice weekly. I pay all my subscriptions and attend every Hayekio gathering. The self-righteous man had a specialty reserved seat, so the other was standing apart. And he prayed differently, saying, my Elohim, do not desert me. I have many failings and need strengthening, so I may overcome them and be a better man. Yahushua said, I assure you of this. The man who benefited from his prayer was the second one, not the first. This was because though the first man had many virtues, he was unable to recognize his failings. The second man was reconciled with Elohim, while the other was not. He who prays must be as one looking into a mirror, not with the expectation of seeing a gratifying reflection, but seeking an image revealing his faults. If a man put tinted glass before his eyes to enhance his image, thus putting out things he does not wish to see, He is not only a self-deceiver, but a fool unto himself. The charioteer does not overhaul his chariot to seek the strong points, but to discover the flaws. And if he did not put these right, he would risk his life. All right, guys. I think this is good. I think that's good. I think we're rolling into the next section after this. Guys, these are amazing readings. This is an amazing book. This is the last book of Yah Scriptures. This app that you are seeing right before your eyes, this is absolutely free of charge. You can get it at yahscriptures.com. It's for Google, any kind of Google stuff. It's free. So you have all of this before your eyes. And you also have the Torah commands that are built into this app. And you can also see the Torah commands at Yahuwah and the Torah.net online. We have them there. So with that, everybody, I hope that you have a wonderful week. I hope that you are loving your Elohim, understanding he is one, and knowing that we need to love him with all of our heart, with all of our being, with all of our might. And these words which have been written in the scriptures, which Moshe is commanding everybody today from the hands of our Creator, shall be in our heart, and we shall impress them upon our children. And we shall speak of them when we sit in our house, and when we walk by the way, and when you guys lie down, and when you rise up. And we should all bind them as a sign on our hands. They should be as frontlets between our eyes, that nothing we ever do is able to be in violation with the good instructions of the first 5 books of Scripture and Scriptures in general. And we need to write them on our doorposts, so when we enter our house, we see them. And when we know that nothing can come into our house that is not Torah-based, nothing that would upset our Elohim is able to establish and be established in our house. And that our house is our dominion where our Elohim can exist with us in a clean manner, where the people of the house have clean hearts and clean minds and clean souls, and they are serving their Elohim in every way, shape, and form. And guys, I hope to see you one day on the other side. I hope I qualify for the kingdom to come. I hope you guys all qualify for the kingdom to come. I hope we make it, because I simply don't want to hang out with these vagabonds, these rebels that live all around us day in and day out, doing all this great evil in the name of governments, in the name of all this stuff. So guys, with that, much love, big hugs. Until we meet again, I'm out.